Now we gonna see if this works, because sometimes in the studio we don't have that great Wi-Fi. So I'm on YouTube and Facebook. We'll see which one of y'all work. All right. But I wanted to come on here and talk about something that I experienced over the last week or so. Like, have you ever been just doing what you believe God has for you to do? But the results were matching your effort, right? And so, like, cause you're showing up, you're being consistent, you praying, right? And you doing the work, but the room, it feels, smaller than expected. I'll say it like that. And the numbers ain't quite numbering the way you would want them to. And so it's like the response is just not what you were hoping for. And so it's like, okay, am I wasting my time? Like, God, what we doing? And God was showing me that the way that I'm measuring things is not the way that God measures things, right? Like, we count attendance, right? And we're looking at views. We're looking at registrations, sales, likes and comments and shares. And, we count when we want to know if people are noticing. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And you want to pay attention to your numbers, but numbers, they only really they're giving us information. And they're not telling us the full truth, right? And so a quiet room, like I wrote a email a couple of weeks ago to my email list about having a quiet room. And God was like, a quiet room doesn't mean that there's nothing happening. A small beginning doesn't mean that you've misunderstood your assignment. And so it just brought me to think that, God may be counting differently, which we know God always count differently. Like, we count attendance. God, like, I'm trying to see if you gonna be obedient before I bring my people up in here, right? So, hey, we count numbers, and God is like, I'm looking at your faithfulness, and then we looking at outcomes, and God is like, nah, I'm looking at your heart. So, while I'm worried about how many people came, and, God is like, but did you show up and do the things that I told you to do? And, not did it work, but were you faithful with following through on the plan that you were given and what's been placed in your hands? Yeah. And so just knowing that success and obedience is not necessarily the same thing, right? And sometimes success could look like just doing what God told you to do before anybody else really understands it. And that's how I've been looking at it. And so I also was looking at, when you're planting something, the seeds, they don't always look productive, right? When you first plant them, because they're underground, you're not going to see it, right? You can't see the roots that are forming. So you don't see the things that are strengthening beneath the surface. And so what's hidden it may look like it's inactive, but it's not. And things that are quiet does not mean that they're dead either. So, I just had to slow down on my thoughts of things being unsuccessful just because it might be moving slowly. So I know sometimes we'll go back and dig up. We'll dig up the seed, and now, you done interrupted the whole shebang of getting this thing produced because you feel like it's not going fast enough. So now you want to change it up. And I was thinking about, like, this saying my dad used to always tell me, it's like, if it's fast, it won't last. But if it's slow, it's for show. And so I just try to keep that saying in mind too. I think I'm losing my signal over here. But yeah, so I just want to share some of the things I've been thinking about, and when it comes to being faithful, and knowing that having faith doesn't always look dramatic either. Like it's just slow. It's just slow. Sometimes it'll show up again and again. Or it just has to be you showing up again and again. Like, let's say you in therapy, like being faithful to going to therapy, or if you want to see the scale move, being faithful to taking your walks, if you want to see a change in your marriage, being faithful and praying over your marriage, different things, starting over after you might have, a huge loss in your life. So it's just recognizing that your faithfulness it don't have to be dramatic. It's just little things. And that's what's going to help add up to the bigger things, and just doing the next right thing without getting some great big applause for it. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. So I just want to come on here and talk and give y'all a little bit of sound. And, something else I just been working on is just not allowing visibility to hinder me too much. Sometimes, you just got to be careful with that. Yeah. Because you'll assume just because, like even right now, I can't even tell if anybody is seeing this, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't have any value. I might just be ministering to myself, actually, because it's something that I went through this week. And so, don't abandon your assignment if you feel like the visibility isn't there. I guess that's what I'm trying to tell y'all, but I'm telling it to myself too. And, social media, it will have you wrapped up in the algorithm. And I'm like, the algorithm, though, it don't always be right. And it's not the Holy Spirit. So there's that on that, right? So yeah, just sharing some personal reflections, because I've had those moments where I just kind of question, like, is what I'm building the right thing, and I've looked at attendance in some spaces, and going into business for yourself is like, one minute it'll be, 1,000 things going at one time, and the next minute it could be super quiet. So you just never know. So when you're asking, like, oh, is this thing growing? What I've started saying, okay, am I being obedient? Am I doing my part, right? Cause this a God thing. It's not me. So am I doing my part? So that might be a question for you too. Like, you might be wondering about some areas in your life that hasn't been moving. It could be health. It could be business. It could be, healing. It could be your rest, your relationship with God, and you could just ask yourself some of those questions too. Like, have I mistaken, slow progress for no progress? Or, am I measuring things and using my own scale versus, how God measures things? So again, just some of my random thoughts and a little bit of bowls. And if you are in that space, just know that, it's not necessarily that you need a new assignment. Because sometimes we'll do something, we'll think something's not working, and so we'll try to change it up, right? And it might be you just need encouragement and to be to remain faithful to the assignment that you've already received, and not get so amped because it's not moving at the time that you want it to move, right? But I just tell you, keep showing up, keep planning, keep watering and keep listening. Keep listening, keep resting, and just keep trusting God with your growth. Because our only responsibility is the obedience, not the outcome, just the obedience. We were not meant to carry the seed, the soil, and the water, and the sunlight, and the harvest. All we have to do is be